Anne is the best friend. She's just the best friend.
She was wearing those red net things with the gold buttons, and she was absolutely spellbinding.
My first impression of Anne was how smart she was, how gracious, how she was a great listener, and she always made you feel when she was talking to you that you were the most important person in the room.
I was the 6-year-old kind of trying to tell her, you know, maybe this isn't safe, but she did the little bark, bark, chicken, you know, and got me out there.
Anne has this human passion, and it's a passion about people. And when you're her friend, she's passionate about the fact that you're her friend.
Anne always says she's the luckiest person she knows.
All of you have some feel for how lucky I am, I think.
And she is completely unwilling to take credit for any of the accomplishments that have been the hallmark of her career.
I am lucky for my son John and my husband Jeff, who have stood by me all my life. I tell you, I feel this is worse than getting married, I said.
The fact of the matter is she has been and she remains a trailblazer.
What I always notice about her is how intently she focuses on what she's doing and how friendly she always is to everyone she comes across, how interested she is in their opinion, and how she is about getting the job done.
I was lucky enough to go to Stanford, to the London School of Economics, to Stanford University, and lucky enough to become the first woman law professor at the University of New Mexico, the first woman hired by a major firm in New Mexico, and now the first woman to head this division.
My mom is very energetic. You know, she is not gonna just sit around somewhere. You know, when we go on vacations, and you know, my wife would comment on this. Sometimes she can't even stay in the same hotel for more than 2 nights. You know, she's, let's go try some other places, go to another town. You know, I'm getting bored here. You know.
After all, she tells it like it is, just the god-awful truth. And she's dead serious, because this is really important and I'm not going to bullshit you. You notice you never see Anne and Ross Perot in the same room at the same time? I first met Anne when we started having weekly meetings with the Vice President to talk about reform of the Telecommunications Act. Breakfasts were really something. I was supposed to be in charge. I resembled the British Army in the Revolution. I had everything all lined up in nice, neat little rows, and then Anne would jump out from behind a tree and let it fly. Mr. Vice President, I'm telling you, I fought these guys in New Mexico, and I'm telling it like it is, the god-awful truth. If you give them an inch, it's like giving a moose a muffin. And pretty soon he'll want jam on that muffin, and you got a moose in your kitchen. Enough of this talking about it. Let's go get them. Let's go right at them. They're monopolists. They always have been. They always will be. Don't believe a word they say. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there with the bagel hanging out of my mouth, and the Vice President turns to me and he says, "Greg, why the hell are you letting these monopolists get away with murder?" Well, right then, I thought I better get to know Anne Bingaman a little bit.
One of the things that is really genius about her is her ability to make the complex things understandable, and that fits very well into being a good advocate and persuasive. And so, I mean, she really gave me a sense of possibility and of being open to things that present themselves to you. And I think, I mean, as I'm going through life with her, I think she accomplishes about what other people would do in 4 lifetimes. She does, you know, pretty much in less than 1.
You see these very famous law professors from Harvard and Stanford and Yale, and they walk in the room and, you know, they have to be the smartest person in the room. Anne never needed to be. She was the smartest person in the room, but she didn't need to be the smartest person in the room. When she went into a courtroom, she didn't need to be the most dominant lawyer in the room. She got things done. She showed that you could get things done and get things done excellently without putting on some huge show, by just doing it.
In 1972, the New Mexico Constitution was amended to include the Equal Rights Amendment, and was very instrumental in the work leading up to that. And afterwards, she gently persuaded the New Mexico State Bar Association to appoint a committee to draft changes to the New Mexico statutes implementing the Equal Rights Amendment. And that became the Community Property Act of 1973. Ann was the chair of the committee, and she was gracious enough again to include me on the committee along with my partner Jim Sperling, my good friend who's recently passed, Tom Dunn, John Zanfelser, Justice Irwin Moise, and others. And we had many, many meetings. Characteristically, Ann made us all feel as if we were the ones who came up with these great ideas, when in fact she was the principal draftsman. You know, she was and continues to be something like a great point guard or quarterback, in that she makes everyone around her look better.
This institution, this great department, has been just splendid to work with. And I got some great people around me. One of them in particular is Ann. When I think of public service, I think of a lot of people in my life, but there is no greater public servant that I have met than Ann Bingaman. Some put a little bit of their heart and a little bit of their soul. Ann Bingaman, for these years, has put all her heart and soul into the antitrust division. I've met a great many wonderful lawyers in my life. I'll match Ann Bingaman with any one of them. She's got the intellect, but as well, she has the spirit. She knows the cases, she knows the law. I could be ready for a briefing, Ann would give it to me. Never once would anybody trip me up or catch me on a point, because Ann had so thoroughly prepared me and she knew what she was doing. When times are grim, when there are difficult issues, none of which directly involve her, I'll hear the shoes coming down the hall. I'll hear the laugh, and there'll be Ann saying, "Now, Janet, we're thinking about you, and we're right with you every step of the way."
She was obviously very hardworking, but we always, my dad and I, were always very proud of her work, you know, and the thing about my mom is she didn't want to just work hard to make money, you know, or get some title somewhere. She wanted to work hard to, you know, make a difference, you know, particularly in the Justice Department. I think back and look at, you know, things I see that she had a hand in that, you know, she may never even have told me about, or, you know, certainly a lot of people may not know about, but they are really significant, you know, around antitrust and protecting consumer. Even as a kid, I think I understood the importance of it and appreciated all of her work.
Ann is a very great lady, a great lawyer, a great public servant who has left an indelible mark on antitrust policy, on antitrust law, and on what this division has done for the American people. All of us are in her debt. And Ann, I would like you to come up, please. And let me present you with the Edmund J. Randolph Award, presented to Ann K. Bingaman, Assistant Attorney General, Antitrust Division, June 1993 to October 1996, in recognition of your outstanding service to the Department of Justice.
It has been the greatest experience of my life. It has been so far beyond anything I could have imagined. So many of you in this room have made it possible, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart forever. Thank you so much.
It takes courage to be a law professor, it really does. It takes courage to go out and start your own law firm. It takes courage to go to Congress and try to get a bill through Congress. But it's not just the courage, and not just that whatever she did excellently. But she showed how it could be done in a very human and practical way.
I think she's passed things on to me in a very subtle way, you know, but it's over the years, the influence of that. You know, she never sat me down and said, you know, this is how to live your life, this is how to behave, but just watching her example, I think, has helped me, you know, grow up. We used to go to the beach a lot, and We one time went to a Club Med. I think it was the only time we had gone to a Club Med, but we went to the little store there and got one of those inflatable rafts. And this is the kind that you just sort of blow up and, you know, hang out at the pool. She decided we should go out into the ocean with it. So we're going out in the ocean and we're getting a little far from shore, and I'm saying, you know, Mom, I think we should probably go back in. You know, we're getting a little far out. I was about, you know, 6 at the time or something. She said, "Oh, are you chicken? You're like scared to get too far from the shore?" You know, and she started teasing me about being a chicken. So she said, "There's that boat out there. Let's try to get out there." Now this was like a, you know, deep sea fishing vessel of some kind. Like getting all the way out there in that little raft was not something that was really advisable. But we made it a good bit of the way out there when we kind of looked back and realized the shore was like really far away. At that point, my dad's worried. He's back at the hotel. Where are they? We're not on the beach, you know. We made it back, obviously, made it back fine, but just an example of, you know, her sense of adventure. You know, she likes to kind of push the limits and have fun, even when it's sometimes not well advised. So, but you know, I love her for it. We had a great time.
She lights up when you talk about Jeff or when he's in the room. I mean, there's still a very special electricity there. And she has a deep love, as you would expect, for her son, John. But I remember on the day when she gave birth to John, and I remember speaking to her from her hospital room, and how she was completely in awe of how this little bundle of just a few pounds had completely captivated her. And it's still that way.
I think I put her through a lot in my teenage years, but you know, she was always there for me, you know. The thing about my mom is, as I've grown up and gotten to know, you know, other folks, I think different than a lot of parents, you know, she never has taken the approach of, hey, here's what you should do with this, here's what you should do with that. You know, her approach is, you know, when it comes to your life choices, you know, you make your own decisions, and whatever you decide, I'm going to be behind you 100%.
Ann was the first woman lawyer hired by our law firm, and she's been a role model in that respect. She's been kind enough to come back and visit with us from time to time since then. She's always maintained her relationship with our law firm and been supportive of the law firm.
She doesn't blow her own horn. She doesn't like to be honored or recognized. She's probably going to be sitting there in the dinner, you know, embarrassed, and you know. But I think she loves the law school. You know, I know that this was, you know, the foundation for so much of her career and all the relationships she built here, and so. You know, I think that's what's important to her, and that's why she's excited to be, you know, a part of this.